Welcome to another episode of the Manager's View, and I'm really pleased to say somebody that is smiling from ear to ear this morning because he's the first manager ever to get Enfield Town to step two in the National League system, and of course the one and only Mr. Gavin MacPherson. So Gavin, first of all, massive congratulations.
Thanks, mate. It's a bit of a blur at the moment, but I thank you for that, definitely.
I mean, I suppose the weirdest, so one of the funniest things is, when we first spoke, what was probably 365 days ago, I think it might have been somewhere around that.
Roughly speaking, yeah.
Would you expected it to, a year later to be in this sort of situation?
So expect it shows maybe a certain sign of surety. I mean, look, from my point of view, there was a lot going on around me in respect of a building season, top 10 finishes, all those types of things were being banded around. I'll say this, look, quietly, I went away personally and backed myself to do what we've done. And certainly with the team around me, I remember meeting at a hotel down in Surrey. So the whole new management team met roughly a year ago. We brought Connie in, who was new to the group, but otherwise we knew each other. And I remember the first thing that we talked about was how are we going to win the league? That wasn't arrogant. That wasn't because I think every manager would have set out believing they could have done that at the start of the season. Yes, there'll be some realistic games. But certainly I think every manager would have had the term playoffs within their agenda because it's more achievable, of course, or you've got more chance of achieving that than winning the league. There's only one can do that. And we realised that would be a very difficult task because of the magnitude of teams that were in and around us. But certainly from a playoff point of view, we were in a position where we felt that was perfectly achievable, no matter what was being said around the club, no matter what sort of levels were being put on us in regard to top 10 finishes and a building season. We actually went away and sort of not ignored it to a certain extent, but just went, look, we think we can do better than that. And we've just quietly gone about our business from minute one. And here we are today.
I mean, what was it like going in there? I mean, was it a different, I suppose, well, first of all, it's probably going to be a lot different, and no disrespects to your previous club, Met Police, but I mean, going into that first game with a shall we say, not hostile, but they are very much, how can we put it? The crowd's there, shall we say? And when I say hostile, I mean to the opposition, not to the people. What was that like, seeing them, thinking, wow, look at the backing we've got behind us there as well?
It wasn't a surprise because having played and managed against Enfield in my time, you understand how big the club can be from a fan base point of view. The Met was a very different concept and a great football club, a really great football club, but they work in a different concept, and it's understandable why they don't perhaps get the support and the vocal support that Enfield do. However, there've been many times this season when the boost of having that support, and I can refer back to the semi-final against Wingate and Finchley particularly, has actually, I believe, got us over the line in a lot of respects. It's there's a two-way thing. The support sometimes at certain clubs sometimes feeds off what the players are doing on the pitch. And sometimes the players can get motivated by that support. And I absolutely think that in the semi-final point of view, that was the case. I think the supporters gave us that motivation to really kick on when we'd had a difficult first half against a very, very good side. But there's been many times this season when I can draw on that. And, I've looked at this and if there was ever, there's so many people, individuals, we mentioned Dave Bryant, particularly and he's the one that we really should be focusing on that it's been done for. But when you just look at it from a general support point of view, there are so many people that I've got to know during the season, both entwined within the club as volunteers or work in some sort of work capacity, or just people that come and pay their money and support the team, that was for. Because I can understand and see. If I didn't understand when I came in, I certainly understand very quickly the passion that people show for the football club.
I mean, what was it like then? You come in and you see a side then that, of course, was under stewardship of Andy Leeson from the season before, and the players are there. How you sort of come in? Did you and your team have ideas of extra players that you just wanted to add into that system? And was there players, I suppose, the likes of Marcus, who's ended up being an absolute, he's been on fire this season, that you just tweaked his playing style a tiny little bit just to feature in your sort of playing style?
Yeah, I think there were some barriers when we came in. I mean, because the team that Andy had wasn't necessarily the team that and the style that I would have wanted, and that's not knocking Andy at all. Everyone's different, and there were also some budgetary decisions that had to be made in respect of players because and I won't go too much into that. And there's also the point that you want to put your own stamp on it and bring in certain players that you feel can help with that. We kept some, of course, as we know, and we've seen some of those players. And you mentioned Marcus, and particularly Youngie springs to mind, flourished during the season. But Scotty's had a great season, and Payne, and I could keep going. And we lost the goalkeeper. Which wasn't expected at the time. We had a conversation where Nathan was, and again, I don't knock him for that. Certain avenues open up, and maybe it was a better avenue for him to take at the time. I got that, so we had to work very quickly to bring Reece in. But also, what we were looking to do was, having looked at a number of videos, and this is probably well quite documented because I wasn't managing in this league last season, so. I hadn't been for a while, and you, although you understand, what the Enfield Town players are about, and I certainly did. You want some sort of level of how they've been recently and whether they can fit into those plans. So we had to work very quickly to look at those videos to understand who we wanted to keep. As I say, there were some budgetary reasons that we couldn't keep some, and then work out that those holes needed to be filled, and who would they need to be filled with. So I understand the concept of the building season because you're faced with all that. You're faced with having to turn it round, really. And so to be here where we are today, talking about what we're talking about today, the players and my wider management team deserve so much credit, because the work that has been put in to get us where we are today has been achieved probably against what some people might suggest the odds.
So if this was a building season, does that mean then that next season we'll win in the National League South?
Well, so I haven't had that conversation with the chairman, but I'm sure the chairman is grounded, and I'm sure he's realistic in some respects. We will always back ourselves. Let's get it right. But we are going into a new venture of football, and it will be a new level of football. So we've got to be realistic about what we're doing, I believe. So what the building part of it was, I think, for step 3. That's where it was. It was a building for step 3 in relation to maybe going at it next season. Well, we've gone at it this season. And now I've now got to regroup, really reprogram myself, along with the players and along with the wider management team, to look at actually now what's needed. That is already in process. Of course, that is already in a process that's ongoing. So, putting any benchmark on next season, I think we'll just leave that for a minute. Obviously. Yeah, I think the obvious one would be that we don't want to be coming back down to step 3. That would be, the bottom line of it. But look at what Averley have done this season. So it's possible. It's possible to go and put yourself at the right end of the table.
I mean, am I right in saying would this be the first time you're going to be managing at step 2 as well?
It is.
Yeah,
it is, yeah.
So do you then go into your little black book or contacts or whatever else that you may have of maybe other managers to start with, to actually sort of be contacting them and just saying, look, give me a little bit of background on the league, maybe trying to find out information maybe from players that have played at that level, just to try and get your head around a little bit, maybe the difference in playing styles from these clubs from step 3, just learning a little bit about the league first and then sort of then in going into it? Or are you just one of these that goes, right, okay, I'm good enough, let's go in there and just have a go?
No, I mean, look, you've got to do your homework, whether it's from a game situation, game to game, week to week, year to year. You've got to do your homework. So you're quite right. Look, I mean, it's not totally new to me. I've looked at the level quite a lot. I've got some quite local clubs to me that play at that level, and also, played some of those teams at those levels in various competitions over the last few years, FA Cups, trophies, etc. And you have to understand what the differences are, and I think we already do that in respect of sort of trying to understand the fine margins in, like you mentioned. Yeah, of course, you do speak to other managers. You do speak to not so much players. Players will tell you what you want to hear, but managers will normally tell you how it is. But we've also, let's get it right, got Steve Conroy on our management team, who has been one of the assistants at St Albans for many years. I'd love to say that was deliberate, knowing that we would go up and that Steve would be a welcomed source of information. But look, that's where he's been. That's where he's been operating for a few years, and so he's going to be big for us in assisting us to try and look at those little bits and pieces that maybe we missed. But certainly from my point of view, I've done a lot of research already. I've done a lot of research already in respect to the levels, because that's what you're striving for. So if you're striving for, there's no point in you just arriving at that place and then going scratching your head and saying, what am I going to do now? You've got to be planning ahead. It's what we do successfully for games. It's what we do successfully throughout the season. And certainly in my situation, it's been no different, planning for step 2, because realistically, we've always been in with a chance all season.
So I suppose one question before I forget it, because I know by the time I finish with you, I would have forgotten to ask you the question. But you brought home one hometown favourite, of course, in Mickey Purcell. Any chance of bringing home another favourite in Mo Fowl?
Yeah, that's nailed on already. No. So again, I'm very aware of him, and I'm very aware that he's been operating at the level for a few seasons now. Listen, yeah, there's a bit of work to do, Dave, in respect of, there's undoubtedly going to be players coming in. That's how it works. I think at this stage, the worst thing I could do is to rest in where we are. I think it's to try and go again with and pick the best out of what we've done over that last season. I don't mean players wise. I mean, enhance what we've done and then try and kick us on in respect of step 2. And if that means that a few players are going to have to come in, then so be it. That happens any season at any club at any level. Let's get it right. So it won't be any different for us. Whether it's Mo, well, it'll be a fantastic addition for me. Be a fantastic addition for supporters, I'm sure. Where he's at in his footballing career, we don't know at the moment. So I wouldn't rule it out, but I'm sure there's a lot of hard work to do yet.
I mean, players during the season have got that as well, that done really well for you and sort of as well got injured during the season. I mean, any updates on people like Jimbo and Cass? I mean, we saw Cass unfortunately go down with another injury in the semi-final. I mean, devastated for him. But I mean, any updates on those or?
So James Richmond, obviously hasn't been fit for several months now. I would imagine that his rehabilitation is probably going to work into pre-season. By the looks of it, he may surprise us a little bit more and be fit to participate in pre-season. But I would imagine that he'll be fit certainly for the season. But I think coming back for pre-season, he might still be in that rehabilitation stage and strength and conditioning, etc. That's the indication I get from George, our physio. Cassie's as we know, Cassie's someone who's entwined with this football club immensely. Massive shame that he couldn't play in the playoff final. But I'll say this about Cassie before I go on to where his injury is and where he is. He had a massive. I told him when he failed a fitness test, which we fully expected him to do, he still had a massive part to play in respect of what we were doing at Chatham on Monday. Because what happens is people feed off Cassie. They feed off Cassie's enthusiasm. They feed off Cassie's passion. And I said to him, "You've now got to be a mouthpiece for me when I'm not a mouthpiece, or when the management team are not a mouthpiece. You've got to be in and around them and geeing them up." And he was out there in his kit. He was out there, and he did exactly that. And so he more than played his part on Monday. Maybe not the part that we all wanted him to play, but certainly more than played his part. And Cassie, we'll have to wait and see, really, because I think Jake, having had a couple of injuries during the season, he'll tell you he's not spring chicken anymore. So maybe we may not see Cassie play for Enfield again. It's possible. He's had a traumatic time with Enfield with us this season through injury, and it may be that it's taken more out of him than we probably realise. And so I think we'll see how that sets up during the summer.
I mean, all in all, though, I mean, the season's, it's had a few ups, a few downs. Of course, there's still a big up to go. I mean, of course, you're heading off to sunny Italy at the weekend. So, I mean, how do you see that as a draw? And is that how the chairman's turned around and said, "Well, congratulations on the promotion. Your trip, we were going to go to Las Vegas, but we ain't going to bother. We're going to go to Italy instead."
Well, I have to win this competition, otherwise I'm out. That's what the chairman's told me. So no, I'm joking. Well, look, he might be thinking that. I don't know. He hasn't told me that, but stranger things have happened in football. Listen, it for me at the moment, and I can say this now because I'm the other side of Monday, is probably the finest thing we could be doing now. Yes, there's an important side to it, and that is to go and win the trophy. And that is a side that I desperately want to do. When you look at it from my point of view, and I can spin a few plates here and spin it how you want it, but if I really wanted to have a dining out speech, I could tell them that I got promoted to a level that Enfield had never been at as the club that we know today, and I was managing in Europe and won in Europe in the same season. Yeah, you could probably leave it like that, Dave, and let people work out what they want to work out. But the fact of the matter is, it's a trophy, and it's a trophy that we want to win. We've had to work really, really hard to get where we are. It hasn't been easy, particularly away in Wales was an interesting experience. And now we go into a beautiful part of the world, having got promotion on Monday, with a trophy to win. And that's certainly where I'm focusing myself. I'm sure there will be some social activities while we're out there. I'm sure the boys will find their way into being social with each other, and of course that's part and parcel of it. But I do want them in a good state. I do want them to be functioning, and I do, because there's going to be people travelling out there. Some of them for the football, some of them for the social, most of them for both. And we'll expect us to be as professional as we possibly can be to win it. So the fact that we're going to Italy, the fact that hopefully the sun will be shining, hopefully we'll be together, is an absolutely perfect way to end the season. When I look at it now, the cherry on the cake will be winning the competition, and that's what we're set out to do.
Tough semi-final, though. Would you say that's probably the hardest one of the three you could have got?
Do you know what? I if I'd wanted a semi-final, I probably would have been that. Not because I think they are a pushover. We're trying to do some homework, which is, again, where this competition is not easy. But because Lewis, great club, spoke to Tony last week on the phone, but we played them twice this season. So in the interest of the competition, wouldn't it be lovely to actually play someone else with a difference from that point of view? FC United of Manchester, again, we haven't. I'm not aware that the club's played them. Maybe they have. I think they might have actually, but at some point. But I certainly haven't. And another English team, be a different entity to Lewis, I'm sure, but another English team. So for me, I'm quite looking forward to playing a team from Europe. in the respect to the competition. They'll be very, very difficult looking at their group results. But for me, I think it's a good draw for us, and I think we can try and get our teeth into to a different side that we don't know who will play ultimately probably a different way than what we used to.
And of course, Tony will be wanting to win it as well because he want to go out with a bang, won't he?
Yeah, and he's got, as we know, we've gone down there and earlier in the season and had to swallow a very difficult defeat. We beat them at home, but that certainly wasn't easy. That was coming off the back of Copenhagen, and as we know, we were probably a little bit jaded on the day, but we got through it. But Lewis, in all intents and purposes, are a very, very good side. A side that I'm surprised, weren't in and around the playoffs in the end. Very capable of being that side. So I'm sure they are going out there with an expectation that they could win it, 100%. Why wouldn't they? Because they're a very, very good side. So hopefully we'll meet up with them out there and share half a lager or something and chew the fat. But realistically, what do we want to do? We want to go and win it.
I mean, next season, though, I mean, there's some really interesting games to look forward to. Some ones that some lovely journeys that I know you love doing. Weston-super-Mare, Truro. So you'll be enjoying your trips down there again. What about? Is there one game in there that you really are looking forward to? I mean, is it something like Boreham Wood coming down, or is it the English Riviera and going down to Torquay?
I think the standout one is Torquay. Let's get it right. It's a lovely part of the world, and they're for the league, they're a big football club. Let's get it right. With Yeovil in their last season, and they've got those types of clubs don't often sit in step two of non-league. When we look at the National League now, it's full of those types of clubs. But certainly not step two. You tend to. So Boreham Wood's a surprise. Two very, very local games to me from where I live, and that's obviously St Albans because that is where I live, and Boreham Wood is a stone's throw from me as well. So those two probably stand out from a geography point of view for me. But when you look at Torquay away, it's a decent stadium, and they might have decent support there, and you look at that and you think that's one that you relish from the point of view of going down there. I'm not sure I'll be saying that after the game, but we'll wait and see. But listen, with the reference to the journeys west in Weston-super-Mare and Truro, who I understand will be in Truro, back in Truro next season. I really enjoyed those days in the Southern League. Yes, they take a little bit more out of you. Yes, they take a little bit more planning preparation because of distance. But Weston-super-Mare is a lovely place to go. A fantastic football pitch surface down there, and and some good people that I've got to know over the years. Same with Truro. Good people. Been playing at Plymouth Parkway. Be really interesting to see their new ground and new setup. So really and truthfully, it's something to really look forward to. In the same way that we'll look forward to going to Averley and Chelmsford and those teams that are a little bit more local to Enfield. So I'm really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. I'm not. It's not lost on me, Dave. The magnitude of what we've got ahead of us. But we've put ourselves in that position. That's where the club want to be. That's where I want to be. So it's now for us to sort out the bits and bobs to help us, at that level.
So one of the sort of last questions, what odds is it going to be then? You're going to give me Truro, Torquay, and Weston-super-Mare are all on a Tuesday night away.
You would hope, and I don't with football because I've seen it before certainly when we're in the Southern League with my previous club. You would hope that they would look at it and go, if you're going to have away games on a Tuesday night, then it's going to be a St Albans, or it's going to be a Boreham Wood, or it's going to be a Chelmsford. But nothing ceases to amaze me, and I think you probably get pretty good odds for one of those. I would think. I have travelled to Plymouth to play Plymouth Parkway on a Tuesday night, having been postponed. I might add on the Saturday, and not easy. People got to get times off, and we're going to be a part-time club with teams that some of them will be full-time. So it adds that extra bit of planning and organisation. But I wouldn't put it past one of those being on a Tuesday night. Let's put it that way, Dave.
Well, you've helped me out no end, I'll be honest with you. So you might not know, you do know, but I had a conversation with Andrew about halfway through the season, and the conversation went along the lines of that you would win a cup for Enfield. So as it was a cup that I saw you pick up, that's one
Okay.
flag for me. Yeah. So if you win another one, that's two, because he did
Okay.
he did think it would have happened at one stage, but yeah.
So he had no faith in me. I mean, he's been telling me all season that he had absolute faith in me to do what we've been doing. So I'll quietly have a chat with him, I think. Yeah, I suppose it is. It is like a cup final, isn't it? That's what it is. I mean, I said it. That's probably what it would. That's how you got to think about it when you go into it, because you got to be good on the day. League positions, league points count for nothing. So I suppose we have, in a way. I'd rather view it as promotion, which is what the end game is. But as I say, we've got another chance to win a cup, and wouldn't that be great for the club? Wouldn't that be great?
And of course, he would have been overexcited. We've got to just do it because we do it in commentary. He would have been overexcited because it's not very often in his lifetime that he's seen his team that he supports win a cup in Tottenham. So at least he's got one with Enfield Town. So he's over it.
Dave, I'm not getting involved in that. As a long-suffering Watford supporter, I'm not going to get involved in that North London rivalry that you might have with him. I've got no moral high ground for the team that I support because I think they were a 15th finish this season. But yeah, yeah, Tottenham. Never mind. Okay, yeah, we'll leave it like that.
Well, listen, mate, I would say to you, from our call from over a year ago, I knew you could do it, mate. Massive thank you for what you've done, and it's been absolutely superb. And you should be thoroughly proud of yourself and your team, and of course all the players as well, because you've done a fantastic job this season and made a lot of people very, very happy at Enfield Town this year. And of course also as well, we should say God bless to Dave and everything. It's all for him. So a massive thank you for that as well. You've done an incredible job. Have the rest as what you can get of it. Get that team
No
out.
chance. No chance of arrest. It's probably the busiest time. Look, Dave, to finish it, I just want to say that I'm massively grateful to all the people that have really given me that support. And I've rounded, and I've mentioned Dave Bryant on a few occasions now. And genuinely, he was an absolutely true supporter of me. Even when things didn't go well at certain games, he was there to say, "Listen, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. I've got full faith in you," and that meant a lot. But there's many people that it spreads wider than that, and that tends to be a credit to this football club and a credit to people that we've got who are in the main absolutely grounded in respect of where this club's come from. So thank you to you as well. You've raised the profile this season, and I'm already looking forward to next season.
Yeah. Thanks, Gavin. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Take care, mate.